The top 1% of India didn't get rich because they worked harder than you. They got rich because they stopped playing by the middle class rules that are currently keeping your bank balance flat. Meet Nikhil. He earns 85,000 rupees a month. He's responsible. He saves in FDs, and according to the latest 2026 wealth data, he's mathematically guaranteed to stay in the middle class for the rest of his life unless he changes one specific formula. In the next 3 minutes, I'm going to show you the data that made Nikhil go completely silent. If you've ever felt like you're on a financial treadmill, working hard but going nowhere, this is the most important video you will watch this year. So, here's something that happened to a friend of mine. Let's call him Nikhil. Nikhil is 29, works in Pune, earns 85,000 rupees a month. By every measure, he's doing okay. He pays his EMI on time, he saves maybe 8,000 to 10,000 rupees every month into a fixed deposit. And at the end of the year, he tells himself, "Yaar, this year I'll start proper investing." Sound familiar? Now here's the wild part. Nikhil isn't poor. He isn't uneducated. He's not even irresponsible. He just doesn't know what the other side is doing. And when I showed him the actual numbers, what the top 1% of India is doing with their money right now, he went completely silent. That silence, that's exactly what this video is about. I am Rohan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why the wealth gap in India keeps widening even though more people than ever are investing. If you're someone who earns a decent salary, saves a little every month, and still feels like you're running on a treadmill, working hard but not actually going anywhere financially, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you out. Because today we are not talking about budgeting tips or cut your chai latte advice. We're talking about the actual formula, the structural difference between how the top 1% grows wealth and what the rest of India is doing. Let's get into it. Okay, before I tell you the formula, I need to hit you with some numbers because until you see why this matters, the solution won't stick. According to the World Inequality Report 2026, this is fresh data published in December 2025 by Thomas Piketty and the World Inequality Lab. India's top 1% now controls 40% of the country's total wealth. Let me say that again. 1% of Indians, 40% of all the money. But here's what's even insane. The top 10% of earners in India capture 58% of national income. The bottom 50% of us, that's over 700 million people, earn just 15% of national income combined. Now here's where it gets really interesting. A report by US wealth management firm Bernstein went deeper into this. They found that India's total domestic wealth is estimated at about $19.6 trillion. The top 1% holds around $11.6 trillion of that, roughly 60%. But when you look at financial assets specifically, stocks, mutual funds, equity positions, that number jumps to 70%. 70% of all financial assets, held by 1% of the population. So the question isn't, are rich people richer? Obviously, yes. The real question is, what specifically are they doing with their money that most Indians are not? That's the formula, and that's what we are unpacking today. Okay, look, before I tell you the formula, I need to destroy 3 myths that are keeping most Indians financially stuck. Because I see these everywhere, in comment sections, in family group chats, in office cafeteria conversations. Myth number 1. The rich invest in real estate and gold because that's where real money is. Here's the thing. Yes, wealthy Indians do hold real estate and gold, a lot of it. According to the Bernstein report, the top 1% parks about 60% of their money in real estate and gold. But, and this is the part nobody talks about, that same report points out that this represents a massive opportunity cost. Nearly $8.9 trillion logged in illiquid assets. Yes, real estate and gold do appreciate over time, but they lack the liquidity and the automatic compounding engine that equities and mutual funds provide. The smarter wealthy Indians, the ones actually growing wealth aggressively, have been quietly moving into financial instruments, stocks, mutual funds, equity positions. Gold and real estate are a legacy wealth habit. The formula has evolved. Myth number 2. I need a lot of money to start investing properly. This one drives me crazy. Look at the SIP numbers in India right now. As of January 2026, the mutual fund industry manages over 81 lakh crore rupees in AUM, and the average SIP ticket size, it's built on people starting with amounts as low as 500 rupees a month. The infrastructure exists, the excuse doesn't. Myth number 3. The stock market is just gambling. Okay, let me give you a number that will permanently retire this myth. Over the last 30 years, from 1995 to 2025, 10,000 rupees invested every single month through a simple SIP in Nifty 50 grew to approximately 3.38 crore rupees. Total amount invested 37.2 lakh rupees. Returns around 12.48% XIRR annually. That is not gambling. That is math. All right. So what is the formula? What are the rich actually doing? Here's what most people don't realize. It's not one thing. It's a system of three interlocking behaviors. Miss even one and the math breaks down. Part 1. They invest in assets that work while they sleep. The middle class trades time for money. Rich Indians build systems where money generates more money without them having to show up. Let me show you this with real numbers. Say you earn 80,000 rupees a month, average middle class Indian. You save 10,000 rupees and put it in an FD at 7%. In 20 years, you have roughly 52 lakh rupees. Not bad. Now take the same 10,000 rupees and put it into a diversified equity mutual fund SIP. Let's use a conservative 12% annual return, which is below the historical Nifty 50 average. In 20 years, you have approximately 99.9 lakh rupees, nearly 1 crore. Same money, same time, almost double the outcome. Because equity grows compounding at rates that FDs structurally cannot match. The wealthy don't just save money, they deploy it into assets that have a compounding engine built in. Part 2. They understand the difference between income and wealth. This is the psychological shift that most financial education skips over, and honestly, it's the most important one. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep and grow. Here's a relatable scenario. Two people, both earning 1,20,000 rupees a month. Person A upgrades to a bigger flat every 3 years, drives a new car on EMI, takes 2 international holidays a year on a credit card, and posts about it all. Income looks great. Wealth? Almost zero. Person B earns the same 1,20,000 rupees, has a decent flat, a decent car, reasonable lifestyle. But every month, 25,000 rupees goes into equity mutual funds before they touch anything else. After 15 years, person B has a corpus of over 1.5 crore rupees. Person A has updated Instagram content. Now you might be thinking, Rohan, that sounds like I just have to be boring with money. And I get that objection. But here's the reframe. Person B isn't being boring. They are buying future freedom. Every rupee invested now is a rupee that will never require them to show up to a job they don't want. The rich don't think about money as something to spend. They think about it as something to deploy. Part 3. They never stop buying equity during downturns. This is where the formula gets counterintuitive. And this is also where most retail investors fail completely. Look at what happened in early 2025. Market was volatile, small and mid-cap stocks fell 20 to 50%. Foreign institutional investors were selling heavily. What did average retail investors do? Many panicked and stopped SIPs. Some sold. What did the wealthy do? They bought more. This isn't a theory, the data shows it. According to Amphi data, SIP inflows crossed 29,000 crore rupees per month consistently through the volatility of late 2025. And who were those consistent investors? Not the guy checking his portfolio every morning on his phone. It was systematic investors who had automated their discipline. Here's a cricket analogy. A great batsman doesn't change their technique because one ball swung unexpectedly. They trust the process. Wealth building is identical. The investors who quietly became crorepati's weren't smarter than you. They were more consistent than you. Okay, so if the formula is this clear, buy equity assets, think long-term, be consistent, why don't more people do it? This is where we have to talk about psychology. Because the formula isn't hard to understand, it's hard to execute. There are 3 psychological traps that keep middle-class Indians from building wealth. Trap 1. Present bias. Our brains are wired to value 10,000 rupees today far more than 10,000 rupees next year, even if logically we know waiting is better. This is why people rate their investments for a vacation but wouldn't think of borrowing that same money. The feeling of money in your hand today is more real than the abstract promise of compounding. The fix? Automation. When your SIP runs on auto debit before you see the salary, your brain never registers it as a loss. It's not willpower, it's system design. Trap 2. Social comparison. This one is devastating in India specifically. We are a culture of visible consumption. A new car, a bigger flat, a foreign vacation. These signal success. Long-term investing is invisible. Nobody at a family dinner congratulates you for a 50 lakh rupees mutual fund corpus, but they'll notice the new Creta in the parking lot. This creates an absurd situation where people bankrupt their futures to look wealthy in the present. Trap 3. Complexity paralysis. There are 9.44 crore active SIP accounts in India as of early 2026, and yet the number of Indians who could invest but haven't started yet is still massive. Why? Because people get stuck trying to pick the perfect fund, the best sectoral allocation, the right time to enter. Here's what most people don't realize. Starting badly is infinitely better than not starting. A 5,000 rupees SIP in a mediocre fund today will outperform a 10,000 rupees SIP in a perfect fund that you start when the market is right, because the market is never right to someone who's scared. Okay, here's the revelation moment I promised, the thing that made Nikhil silent. The mutual fund industry in India has grown at 20% CAGR over the last decade. AUM has grown from roughly 12 lakh crore rupees in 2015 to over 81 lakh crore rupees in January 2026. That's nearly a seven-fold increase in 10 years. And over the last 10 years, from 2015 to 2025, mutual fund AUM grew 7 times while bank deposits only grew about 3 times. Money is visibly, structurally, and irreversibly moving from savings accounts into equity markets. But here's the thing that blew Nikhil's mind. In 2025, despite global uncertainty, FII selling, and a brutal mid-year correction, nearly 97% of all mutual fund schemes delivered positive returns for the full calendar year. 97%. Because over a long enough horizon, the underlying growth of the Indian economy, 6 to 7% GDP growth annually, middle class expansion, digital economy boom, that growth shows up in equity prices. India is projected to become the world's third largest economy by 2028, GDP crossing $5.7 trillion. That growth has to go somewhere. It goes into corporate earnings, which goes into stock prices, which goes into your mutual fund NAV. The rich know this. They're not genius investors, they are just aligned with the structural direction of the economy. Are you? Alright, enough big picture. Let me give you the actual steps, specific, actionable starting this week. Step 1. Calculate your investable surplus honestly. Not what you think you can invest, what you actually can. Take your monthly take-home, subtract fixed expenses, rent, EMI, groceries, utilities. What's left? That's your actual number. Most people are shocked to find it's higher than they thought because discretionary spending is invisible until you track it. Step 2. Automate a minimum of 20% of that surplus into equity mutual funds via SIP. If your investable surplus is 15,000 rupees per month, that's 3,000 rupees minimum going into equity SIPs, non-negotiable, before you touch anything else. Set the auto debit on salary day. For simplicity, if you don't want to overthink this, a large cap index fund tracking Nifty 50 is a completely legitimate starting point. Low expense ratio, proven long-term returns, no fund manager risk. Step 3. Increase your SIP by 10% every year. This is the secret multiplier nobody talks about. If you start with 5,000 rupees a month at age 25 and increase by 10% every year, by age 45 you're investing 33,000 rupees per month and your corpus? Somewhere around 4 to 5 crore rupees depending on returns. Not because you got a massive salary hike, because you let your investment grow with your income. Step 4. Do not check your portfolio more than once a quarter. I'm serious. Daily portfolio checking is a wealth-destroying habit. It triggers emotional decisions. The science on this is clear. Investors who check portfolios less frequently make better returns. Automation plus ignorance is paradoxically the winning strategy for most people. Step 5. When the market falls, celebrate and add more. I know this sounds crazy, but remember, falling markets mean you're buying the same units cheaper. A 5,000 rupees SIP in a falling market buys more units than in a rising market. This is rupee cost averaging. It's the mechanical reason why consistent SIP investors always beat the people trying to time the market. Let me come back to Nikhil. After I showed him all of this, he asked me, Rohan bhai, honestly, is it too late? I'm 29 and I haven't invested properly. And I told him what I want to tell you. 10,000 rupees a month starting at age 29, growing at 12% annually for 31 years gets you to your retirement at 60 with roughly 3.8 crore rupees. If he waits just 5 more years and starts at 34, same monthly investment, same return rate, 2.1 crore rupees. He loses 1.7 crore rupees of potential wealth by waiting 5 years. 5 years, 1.7 crore rupees gone. Not because the market failed, because he hesitated. The formula the rich use isn't a secret. It's not complicated. It's not gate kept. It's literally available to anyone with a smartphone and a KYC verified account. The only difference between the top 1% and everyone else isn't intelligence, it isn't access. It's consistency, time, and the willingness to start before you feel ready. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is right now, today, this week. Not next month when things settle down, not after the market corrects, not after you do more research. Now. All right, that's the formula. Real numbers, real psychology, real steps. If this video gave you even one thing you're going to actually act upon, drop a comment below and tell me what it is. I read every single comment on this channel, and nothing motivates me more than knowing this stuff is actually changing how people think about money. If you want to go deeper, I did a full breakdown on the psychology of compounding last month that pairs perfectly with this video. Check that out, it's linked right here. And if you haven't already, subscribe, because we are just getting started on this channel, and I promise you, the next video, let's just say the topic is going to make today look like the warm-up. I'm Rohan, I'll see you in the next one.